Hey guys, how you doing? This is jpsarrireviews coming to you once again with another episode of Age of Heroes, my podcast. Welcome to the podcast, and welcome to those are watching on YouTube, but also those are listening through iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Castbox, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Thank you very much for your time. But today I want to really celebrate the Transformers saga, the Transformers franchise. We are celebrating this week the 35th anniversary of the first episode being aired on television here in North America, and the rest is history. One of the most important franchises, toy franchises, or I would say IPs of recent memory of the past 35 years. It's unbelievable to think that it's been so long since, this time has been that long since the first episode aired and really caught on fire. It really caught our attention, and we fell in love with it as kids. I remember being a kid and watching the first episode and then watching the first season and then continue on till the end. 4 seasons, that's what we had in total, but those 4 seasons were amazing. There was the stories, of course. When you come to think of and compare a lot of those cartoons from that time, from that era, from the 80s to the cartoons of now, of course there's a big difference, but those were the things that really caught our eyes. And Hasbro, in this in conjunction with Takara Tomy, the Japanese company, they really developed a franchise that was a monster of a franchise. Of course, Hasbro really took inspiration from the G.I. Joe American Hero franchise, what has very successful. They developed technically the cartoon around the toys. And of course, the same happened with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So definitely this through Mattel. And so there was the time in the 80s where a lot of these franchises were developed around the toy lines. And Transformers was one of them. Now, Transformers started, and we're going to go back in a little bit of history. It started in Japan, actually. Takara Tomy had previous lines in the early 80s from some the stuff that they were producing over there. And Hasbro and with Takara Tomy, they developed some of those toy lines that they were using, like the Transformers. They were not called Transformers then, and they kind of developed into what the show will be, the television show and the toy line, and that's how pretty much everything started. But yeah, Takara Tomy, already had in this case some other toy lines, and let me see if I can find the names. I think I just probably forgot. I have here, the Microman and Diaclone toy lines. That's what they were. And they were just simply autos that they transform and all that. Of course, they redevelop, redo everything. They put names on it. They put a history behind it. And they did it all. Now, the important thing about this is that not only they presented the TV show alongside the toy line, they also had a comic book line that started in the same year, in 1984. It started with Marvel Comics. The original Marvel Comics, the Transformers comics, they had a total of 80 issues, which is a big number. And then after that, actually, that was taken over by not taking over. There was actually a sister, in this case, line of comic books that was actually produced in the UK, and that's over 300 issues. That lasted even longer than the American version. That tells you how popular Transformers were, not only here in the US, but they were worldwide. Around the world, there were a lot of different, in this case, reproductions of this comic book series. They lasted for a long time, and Transformers, grew for them. From them, they grew up for a long time. And Transformers is such a powerful franchise that really changed a lot of the things, that the way we saw, I would say, toys, but also the way we saw cartoons during that time. Like, for example, I hear I'm a big fan. I've been having these are the collection that came out for the Transformers for the 25th anniversary. I cannot believe that it's been 10 years since I bought this. When it came out, the complete first season, I have part of the second season. I do have the rest, but I don't have it here with me. I have to look through all my stuff, so I found these 2 first, and that's the ones I grabbed. Love these cartoons, phenomenal cartoons. Love the design. I have so many great memories of the Transformers growing up, watching these cartoons. I really enjoy those, but also the movie. The movie was something that a lot of people love. I have the special edition that came out not long ago. Love this. Unbelievable. This was a great movie. Love have the, in this case, this. I wish actually the cartoons, they could have a Blu-ray collection soon. Hopefully they do that with the 35th anniversary. They decide to put them all together in a Blu-ray collection here in North America. That would be nice. I know that probably you can find them somewhere else. Some other countries they do it, but not here in North America for some weird reason. But man, I like that one. And just something has grown. Like throughout the years, there were so many different versions of in this case of the Transformers cartoons. I remember you had the Beast Wars, which I really enjoyed. That was in 3D. You got the Transformers Armada. There's so many cartoons. It's hard to keep up with all the different Transformers versions. I have watched a few of them, some of the more modern ones. I still watch them. I don't know. It's something so, I don't know, so primitive about it, but at the same time so alluring for, I would say, primarily boys, but I know a lot of girls love the Transformers as well. But boys love the fact of that you can tinker with stuff. I think it's something that has to do with being a man, that we love to tinker with things, and being able to play. And I have great memories with the toys. I remember I collected Transformers. I didn't have all the Transformers, unfortunately, as a kid. But when I was when I was growing up, we had Transformers. And sometimes, my parents, my dad, he would say, if you get, good grades, you'll get a toy. You can choose the toy you want. So we used to go to the toy store and we used to buy the toys that were hot at that time. It could be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So at some point, it could be, but that was a little old. I was a little older, but then Ninja Turtles was there. But you can get, I don't know, G.I. Joe. I love the G.I. Joes. But definitely one of them, of course, the Transformers. I always choose a Transformer for some reason. And I really love the Transformers, particularly because we travel a lot. My dad traveled a lot in his line of work. He had to travel a lot throughout long distances sometimes throughout the Mexico and all of that. So I remember that, those travels that could take hours and hours, having that Transformers with me, or Master of the Universe, that I did that too. But the Transformers was such a fun thing because you can tinker with them, set them up, play with my brother right next to me. We love them. It was just an amazing experience just to do that, just to tinker with stuff. And I feel that that's something that really attracts boys. Anything that has to do with cars, vehicles, I think boys are more attracted to that kind of stuff. We love cars, we love trucks, we love all of that, and transform them. It's an amazing thing. And I had a lot of friends. I used to go and play with my friends that, also collected Transformers, because Transformers was such a big thing. Everyone at school loved Transformers. Everyone brought a Transformer to school. So we had to play with all of them. And it was fun to go and play with some kids that actually had the bigger collections. And they always have everybody, Devastator and all that. It was fun just to put them all together. Love them. But definitely the cartoon really impacted our lives, not only because he has a lot of great messages, because it was actually, if you come to think of it, when I watch this show, sometimes I feel that some of the episodes are really mature for what they were back then. There's a lot of action, there's destruction, there's, even though you don't see people really dying, there's some really, moments that that someone was killed. But of course they didn't portray it on screen. But definitely they were very mature, very strong. This is a war that is happening between Decepticons and of course Autobots. But of course the death of Optimus on this film was actually something that was really heartfelt for a lot of fans, and still is. I still, to this day, I am surprised a lot of people always talk about it, how heartfelt it is. And of course the comics, which now of course the comics have gone through different process. Of course they went with Marvel. I think after that they were part of Dreamwave in the early 2000s. Dreamwave Productions, they filed bankruptcy, so those rights went to IDW. And IDW has been doing such a fantastic job in really reproducing some of the older comics. They brought some of those collections, but primarily they have done great collections. A lot of really fantastic, like All Hail Megatron. I really like that one. There's other ones. They really give a backstory. They have so many different versions and lines. They have done such a fantastic job, and I do read them all. I don't have them physically. I read them digitally because that's what I do with IDW primarily. But man, it's just fantastic. The collection they have with the Transformers, the great, really good runs, and I really like that. Definitely they have done a fantastic job. But the Transformers have been such an impactful force, for the industry, for entertainment, that you can also, not only with the toys, with the movies, but also in video games. There was one on the PlayStation 2 It was Transformers. That was the game, Optimus on the screen. That was created by Atari. Atari was the one that developed that game. But man, that game was fun. It had some moments that was a bit difficult. It was actually based on the Armada. I think it was based on the Armada versions, or at least some of them, because there's so many versions of cartoons of the Transformers. It was really fun. I really like it. It comes for, you can have the third person perspective and the first person perspective when you're shooting, which is very fun. It was a beginning of something that would be greater. Then of course, we had Transformers, the game that came out, that it had a mild reception because it had a lot of troubles, based on, of course, on the movies, because of course the movies were with the Michael Bay, that we're not gonna talk much about it here, but I gotta tell you this. I did like the Michael Bay films, the original, the first three with Shia LaBeouf. Those are guilty pleasures. Even though there's a lot of things that they're not really connected well with the cartoons and all that, I really enjoy it. I'm gonna say that I didn't. It was after that, those three first ones, that they're cheesy, yeah, they are, that everything went downhill. Everything went to hell. And, I'm not a fan, of course, until the recent film that we have, which is the Bumblebee film, which I really love a lot. And I have the t-shirt here with Bumblebee. It says 84. That's the year it was the first episode was released. So it's been that long, 35 years. I really like Bumblebee. I reviewed that film. I really highly recommend it. I like it. I think that's a good return to form for the franchise. The rest is garbage, but of course the first three, guilty pleasures. That's all they are. But then of course the video games, they got the video game based on the first film, Michael Bay film. And then of course they got this one, Revenge of the Fallen, that actually, this is a good game for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360. I really have a lot of fun. It was a good multiplayer. That was in the beginnings of multiplayer, really, that I really like it. It's very fun. It has very nice actually levels where you have to do all kind of destruction, and you can choose your in this case your Autobot and also your Decepticon. So that's kind of separate the adventures, and that's actually was what really was the base for what become the War for Cybertron franchise later on. Activision, really fun game. I really have a lot of fun time with this one. But then, of course, you got the War for Cybertron. And this is definitely by many considered one of the greatest games of Transformers. Fall of Cybertron is better. But War of Cybertron was really a great change for this franchise. It was a great story, very fun, not really long. But man, the multiplayer aspect of it was great. I spent so many hours on multiplayer. Not on this one, but on the PS3. But man, I love this one, the Xbox 360. I actually have it now on the digital versions of both. I have them. I have the physical copies still. I don't know why, but I do. But I have the digital copies. But then, of course, they got the Fall of Cybertron, which is definitely my favorite. Unfortunately, with this too, the War of Cybertron, the servers are down. I think no longer exists on the consoles. It was down long ago. I think you can still do it on PC. But it is what it is. But the Fall Cybertron is still up. They were out for the PS4. They had like a new remaster version. It didn't last long because one of the things I hate about Activision is that they let go sometimes of the IPs of the franchises. They don't want to pay the licenses, so they let go many of their games. So you're gonna find them anymore. So it was only available digitally. There was no physical copy of those. So I just procrastinated. I said, I can get it. And when I came to find out, it was already done. They didn't have it anymore, so now you cannot really play it on modern consoles, and they're not backwards compatible with the Xbox One, so you cannot really play it with the Xbox either, which is really a pain. So the only way to play it is going back to this or playing on PC, which is definitely bad. I wish there was a third. There was plans for a third one, and hopefully when the third one comes, they also come with a cool collection, maybe a physical copy of this two together. That would be nice for for the Xbox One, or the PS4. That would be fantastic. But then of course we got this one, also Activision doing the same thing. It didn't last long. I think only a year, and then of course they drop it. Transformers Devastation. I have it for the PS3. Came out on the PS4, Xbox One. Pretty much this is fun. This is just really fun. It was developed. What was the name of the company? I forgot. Right here. Platinum Games, which does a really stylized type of art. Really fun. Unfortunately, not longer available for the digitally, but of course you can get the copies of this. So this is fun. Definitely, as you can see, Transformers have been such a force for the entertainment that we love it. I love the comics. I love the cartoons. I'm so glad, at the same time I realized that I'm getting old, 35 years since they came out, and I still remember the first episode. And I have fun with it. Definitely, it's one of those franchises that is important to introduce to our kids. It's still popular. It's very popular. As you know, what happened with San Diego Comic-Con, they showcase Hasbro through the HasLabs, the big Unicron, and people are very excited for that. Very expensive. But people still collecting. People still buying. Their toys are there. People love the Transformers. There's so many different cartoon versions. They have milked this cow for so many years, and they will continue on because it is fun. It is a cool franchise. And I'm glad that that I was part of the beginning. I'm part of Generation 1, like many of you that are listening. I grew up around it, and we have so many great memories. So I'm really glad, and I can tell you one thing, I'm very excited for it, and here we hope for the next 35 years that we can get to see more cool stuff from this, more cool games, more cool comics, cool movies, and also more cool cartoons. But that's how I feel. But what is your opinion? Do you grow up around this or the originals? Do you have good memories? And of course nowadays there are toy lines, but there are also collectibles. There's statues. There's all kind of stuff. You can collect all everything you want from Transformers. It's out there, and probably they even have underwear that has a Optimus Prime face in it. It is how it is. People go crazy with it. But definitely, what is your opinion? Are you a fan of Transformers? Do you have any other franchise that is bigger than this? I wouldn't say that this is bigger than other franchises. I never compared franchises to one bigger than the other. I just have the same love for Transformers that I have for G.I. Joe or Masters of the Universe or any other of that time. I just have good memories of that. But what is your opinion? Would you like to share any any story, anything that happened in your childhood, any good memories? I would like to hear it in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, or you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and you can share that experience there. I would like to hear it. So my friends, God bless, take care, and I'll talk to you again. Oh, before I let you go, transform and roll out. Bye-bye.